Welcome to The Change, a podcast about the changes in life that shake, break, and make us. I'm Laura, a 45-year-old writer, podcaster, and mum who has until recently always loved change.
And I'm Cathy, a 53-year-old writer, podcaster, and mum, and change is actually my kryptonite. We acknowledge the traditional owners of country throughout Australia on which this podcast is recorded and recognise the continuing connections to lands, waters and communities.
We pay our respects to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander cultures and elders past and present. Cathy, hello. And
Hello.
How are you?
Well, I'm a little bit sad, I'm going to say.
Okay. Why? Do tell.
Well, it's our last episode for the year.
It
feel
is.
Like. And I just look forward to chatting with you. So that
I
makes
know.
me sad.
It's the way we catch up, isn't it? We're like, save it for the pod. We'll talk online.
Yes.
So I know we may be bringing some summer specials, but at this stage, it's the last episode of season 3, and we've had a great season. We've talked to some amazing women, as always. And what's been your highlight, Cathy? Any guest that stands out for you or chat?
Oh, look, it's like picking a favourite child, really, I suppose.
It's a bit hard, isn't it?
Our recent episode with Gina is probably one of the standouts for me. And Steph, look, all of them. I mean, I can find something in every single one of our episodes.
Yeah, for sure.
Is incredible, and they have every single woman that we have interviewed this year has touched my mind or my heart or my thought process in a very different way and challenged me to think and do things differently. So, I don't think I really can pick a favourite.
No, fair. And it's been going back since early September, I think, and it feels, we're now nearly at Christmas, which is a wild. But yeah, thinking back to Sophie Scott and Amanda Ramsey, we've just talked to such a range of women on different subjects. So it's been a wonderful learning, I think, and that's the great thing, isn't it? You talk to different women every week, and you think, you always come away with something. And it was Gina's episode. I think that's probably the first time we've both cried in an episode. So I suppose that tells just how
both of us. I'm a big sook, so I cry a lot.
Yeah.
But,
Yes. Yeah. It was very poignant, and she spoke so beautifully on grief. And I think it was a very special moment. So it was lovely to have that and share that with you. But otherwise, Cathy, other than talking to amazing women for the change, what have you been up to? What's your update?
My update. I'm still working, which is a good thing.
That's good.
Working, yes, planning a couple of weeks off at Christmas time.
Oh, good.
Enjoying my new role, learning all that there is to learn about in the world of cybersecurity and cyber in general, cyber crimes, threat actors. It's just a really, it's a hugely interesting space, and there's a lot of growth, and there's a lot of things that are going to come at us that we can't even possibly imagine.
That sounds scary.
Yes. I don't think it's all scary.
Okay.
And I think we probably need to think that it's not.
Okay.
Everything's scary. Every new technology is scary. If you think right back to, the Industrial Revolution, when they were ploughing fields literally with a horse and a cart and a plough on the back of a cow or something, they were terrified by engines and machinery and, so I think every generation has had its challenge of what's coming ahead. But yeah, so it's, I sort of say watch this space. I think there's changes in the landscape for Australians in general, with, things that are being introduced into Parliament around social media, and we'll see how that all plays out and what potential unintended consequences might be, which might be for people like us that will have to verify their identity as well. and verify our age, because
the changing
age
of the laws,
verification won't be just for little people. It will probably be implemented by the platforms for everybody. So anyway, whatever happens. And, you know, absolutely, without a doubt, our little people need to be safer online. And I would like to see that, I suppose, generally across the board, because I don't know about you, but some of the pretty awful things that have been said in, you know, DMs when people don't like you and things like that, or don't like your opinion, that keyboard warriors will say, they say it to adults as well. Like, they don't just say it to kids. So
it's it's a horrific new level of childhood that they've had to deal with, and we as parents have had to kind of manage, and it's very much the Wild West. And so yes, I think some legislation around it is good, because it feels like a bit of a stab in the dark at the moment. But saying that, I think I saw something, I think it was a cartoon in the Sydney Morning Herald that was being reshared a lot on Instagram. I'm not sure even sure if you shared it, but around these new changes with social media, and there was someone saying, you know, you don't want your kids going into the ocean without learning how to swim first. And it's a bit like that. And there was a big picture of a mobile phone, and it was kind of comparing going into the ocean without ever having learned to swim to be using technology without having to learn how to use it properly and how it affects you. And just saying that you cannot avoid the ocean. You know, kids are going to go and they're going to go and swim in it because it's fun. And it's, you know, and obviously the same with social media, right? Kids are going to be online. They're going to be doing things. It's their world that they swim in, literally. And we just need some ideas as adult humans on how to guide them better. And so this stuff is all changing, as, you know, we're barely keeping up. I think the idea of banning kids completely is not realistic. It's a very difficult thing for parents to manage. I say that as, you know, mum of two boys that love a bit of screen time when balanced in with playing a lot of sport and having a good night's sleep and going to school and all the things that we try and do as parents. But yeah, it's a really interesting world that you are working in. And I just love the fact that you are in there at the forefront, smashing stereotypes as a woman in midlife, just out there in IT. Because, Cathy, you are just generally like really good at IT. I've so many times been, really, Cathy, help me, I'm stuck. Cathy's there with her IT advice and all her language around it. I just love it. I think it's good, but I think it's also something that a lot of people don't often. People think if you're a young person, you're good at IT and you're good at all this kind of tech. But actually, no, it's not always the case. And I think personally, it's great to have you in this role currently and just leading the way, showing us women that we can do it. We can do it. We can manage the technology.
Yeah. I mean, I've just got to remember that. And when those moments of self-doubt creep in, which you know me, those moments would creep in quite regularly. I need to just remember that. Go back to the basics, remember what I can do and remember what I know. And this is just a new language that I'm communicating. So
no, absolutely. Well, so I just started a new job. I was happy on my sabbatical there for a moment, taking some time to think about where I was going next and being a little bit unemployed, doing some freelance and wondering about my next step. And also, you know, I've been feeling quite what's the word? Emotional, obviously, about passing my friend Deb and being back with family and having that time with them was good to have that long period away from the mundane routine of life. So I did have chance to think, but I came back, went for an interview and got a job, and I'm very thrilled to be the new lifestyle editor of Hunter Coastal Lifestyle magazine, which is local glossy publication, beautiful print magazine here in Newcastle, and the sister publication Newcastle Weekly, which is a monthly publication, which is a little confusing, but it used to be weekly. And it's also a print publication with pretty extensive website. So yes, I'm doing a lot of digital writing. I'm doing some writing for magazines. I'm doing some sub editing and proofing and planning beautiful spreads. You know how you see how like I was picking shoes for a fashion spread. Oh, it's dreamy. I love that kind of stuff, writing about events and houses and beautiful locations for weddings, things like that. It's very, very nice space to be in. I'm not writing about kind of awful news cycle things. It's actually a very, very much enjoying it and learning how the world of magazines work. So yeah, it's good.
And I
It's good
think,
for me.
Listening to you talk about, planning a spread and print magazine, I think when I think back to wanting to get into journalism, that's really what I wanted, like the heyday of Cosmo or Clio
Yes.
or, like actual print magazines like Devil Wears Prada, kind of those sorts
Totally.
of big spread magazines. And there's so few opportunities to do that
Yeah.
anymore. So it's super exciting that you are in some ways getting to live out your childhood dream of, being on a like a glossy mag and spread and that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
it's
I
very
know.
exciting.
It's an unexpected little, moment where I have come full circle in the sense that, yes, as a 13-year-old, I always wanted to work in magazines, just like you. So yeah, it's very nice indeed.
We're coming into Christmas.
We are.
It's an exhausting time of year. I don't know about you, but we tend in our family, my son's birthday is at the end of November.
Okay, yeah.
So we kind of have an unwritten rule, just like in our little family, that we don't talk Christmas until after his birthday, because otherwise it sort of feels like his birthday gets lost in all the Christmas conversations. And that has been exhausting, I've got to say, like pretty much ever since he was born. And he was born early, so he was not meant to be born this side of Christmas. He was always meant to be born the other side of Christmas.
Oh, wow. He was quite early.
He was 9 weeks early. So,
wow. That's right.
Yeah, so it's always been exhausting. I have always pushed back on, nope, no Christmas conversations. It's not December. It's not December. It's not December. We're not having Christmas conversations until December. And sometimes you just have to, like, they get earlier and earlier, and that mental load of Christmas. And just, I think, also winding up for the year as well. It's just such an expectation on all of that. I don't know about you. What do you?
Oh, 100%. I think every year it gets earlier too, right? So my sister's birthday is at the end of November. And so in my mind, I'm a bit like you. I couldn't really think about Christmas, and we didn't as a family until December. But I also think that was much more normal. It was Advent, right? I mean, grew up in a Catholic family. Well, I say Catholic family. I went to a Catholic school, but I would think of like Advent.
So you're a C of E Catholic. Christmas and Easter.
Well, yeah, correct. Christmas and Easter Catholic, exactly that. So December was Christmas. So but now the shops, Christmas stuff is in the stores from August, really, isn't it? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, mostly.
Yeah, so you kind of get the sense that November and Christmas parties, a lot of office parties happen in November because they're like, oh, we won't put it in November in December because you're saying everyone's busy. So everything just kind of comes forward.
Creeps further and further and further.
Then you've got the Black Friday sales, which were at the end of November also, and that sort of encourages people to buy their Christmas shopping early. So, yes, I think it has changed since we were younger too, and your son was younger. But yeah, I feel that sense of the year is winding up. Everyone is like, I'll see you before Christmas, and you think in your mind, that's just not going to happen.
Yeah,
there's only so many weekends left, and everything
like
else.
Just time left.
Yeah, time.
And
that's right.
And I don't know about you, but the mental load of Christmas gift giving has always kind of fallen to me. In our family.
Oh yeah.
Just by default, I think. I love gift giving in that I like to think about the person that I'm giving the gift to and buy them, like really think about what it is that they would like. And I've got to say that, over the years, I've consistently been disappointed by not anyone in particular, but just, consistently disappointed because I put a lot of effort into gift giving because that's my love language. I really like to think about the person that I'm giving the gift to, and not everybody does that. And it's taken me a long time to get to a place where it's like, oh, well, they gave me a gift and that's lovely. As opposed to, why couldn't they have thought about me like I have spent time thinking about them. And me thinking about them has added to my mental load, of course. Like that is, I take that on and I'm, you know, put my hand up and say, well, nobody else expects me to do that. But yeah, so the mental load of the end of the year and everything wrapping up, I've got to say it's lovely being on this side of having no kids at school.
Yeah, I was going to say the school thing.
I don't have end of year things with school. I don't have formals. I don't have graduations. I don't have school bags. All the
or
things.
even like finding things for them to do in the school holidays, because they are way too long.
It's like they're all adults. All of my children are adults. It's all on them.
Super
you know, they
envious.
can fill their time however they want to fill their time or not. You know, whatever it is that they choose to do. So I'm not sad that I'm on this side of that. I'm sad that I don't have little ones anymore. But yeah, so it's challenging. I don't know about you. What do you find this time of the year like?
Yeah, I find it challenging for sure. And I think what you were saying there about gift buying, it certainly mostly lies with me too in our family. And I don't think that's unusual. I think that women are, on the whole, not everybody are good gift buyers. I do know some men that are good at gift buying actually, but not in my immediate inner circle, I have to say. Jules tries hard. He's but yeah, I think he does other things that I don't do, right? So that the gift giving does tend to fall to me. And that's okay. But this year I did actually have a bit of a tanty about Christmas in the lead up. So I think there's a few things I would say. Yes, school is busy. The kids are still little. There's lots of that sort of stuff going on, which is always a nightmare. And also very cute, right? I don't mind some of it. It's very festive. But what is a little bit more challenging is I'm away from my family. They're in the UK. So I always find it emotionally quite stressful, having to kind of call people on Christmas Day or around that time and feel a bit like you're just not quite, well, you can never be where you want to be, right? So I'd love to be with my family for even just for a couple of days at Christmas. That would be lovely, but that's not going to happen. So I spend it all with Jules's family. And they're wonderful people, but it's a really big family. And on Christmas Day, there's something like 25 people or something in a house. Lots of kids, very noisy. And it's, you know, there's lovely moments when everyone's opening their presents and getting very excited. And the Jacals are all really good cooks. So there's some really great food. But it's a really long day in one place with a lot of people. So this year I said to Jules, and we're not going to go until lunchtime, which I think is fair. We'll still bring food. We'll still bring the presents. I also suggested strongly that the adults, we have for the last probably 5 years done like a Kris Kringle thing where the adults have gift exchanged. We've got quite a high budget per adult. But everyone ends up just saying, I want a Bunnings voucher, I want a this voucher. And it's just pointless. It's just something that adds to your mental load, right? So this year I said, why don't we try going out for an adults only dinner? And we did a few weeks ago back, went to the Hunter Valley, beautiful, had lovely lunch with all the Jacal grown-ups, no kids. Very pleasant way to spend a lunchtime and actually have conversations, which I think is key. Time is way more valuable than a voucher that, you know, I can buy myself, I think. So I've kind of instigated that and I hope that tradition stays. And this year for the first time, we're going to go in the morning. We're going to be volunteering with the Samaritans to do the Christmas dinner as a family of 4. So that will take us away from the kind of chaotic family day for a few hours and then we'll enter into it in the afternoon. But I don't know. Again, being a C of E Easter and Christmas Catholic in my past, like you have said, I used to go Christmas Day church. And as much as I would consider myself now to be an atheist, I think I miss that kind of singing and the community and the purpose behind Christmas just gets taken away with frantic kids ripping open presents and having a tantrum. Buying. Yeah. That's what really gets me. And I think this year I thought, let's try something different. See if we like it. I don't know. The kids will probably hate me.
Yeah, we've look, Christmas is such a charged time of year.
Isn't it?
And it's always, you know, trying to balance family and sometimes it's easier when you've only got one family, I've got to say. we've, trying to balance my husband's family and
true.
visiting all the families and doing all the things, and invariably somebody forgets. This year it was my darling mum forgot who was meant to be, like, what day was Christmas with my side of the family, with my mum and dad, my brother and his family and stuff. And so mum forgot, and so she prearranged to do all these other things on one day. And so anyway, that's all been a bit chaotic, and that's so it's challenging. And now we have a daughter-in-law to be. I mean, she's been with us for 4 years. This is the 5th Christmas that they've spent together. So managing that, and
new families from that generation, I guess.
And getting to spend time with our son and his fiance and all of those things. And so it's really difficult, I'm going to say. And I try and be really understanding and just accept whatever time. For me, I honestly, it's less about the gifts, and I would just really just like to spend time together.
Yeah.
That's, and this year with my husband's family, that's what we've decided to do, that two of his sisters one's local to us and one's going to be local around Christmas. And so we're just going out for dinner, the 6 of us.
That's my dream.
And we're not worrying about our children. And it's not that we're not worrying about our children. We're always worrying about our children. And we're still having a Kris Kringle for everybody who wanted to participate, because all of our children, we've got a 3rd generation in Andrew's family now. So there's 2 great-grandchildren.
Wow.
And, so it's kind of lovely that there's another generation coming, but it's sort of, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and, everyone's got partners and all of the things, right? So the Kris Kringle, like you said, gets bigger and all of those things. So this year what we did was we kind of put it out there and said, whoever wants to participate can pop your name in. If you don't, that's cool. That's no pressure. So I'm not exactly sure who's participating. I don't know. I wasn't organising. It wasn't my turn to organise. So, so that's what but we won't get together with the extended family of the cousins and the great cousins or great nieces and nephews or whatever this year, which is sort of nice, I guess, in some respects. We are still seeing my mum and dad and my brother, and I'm sort of still really not sure when that's happening. So but anyway,
it's a lot. Even you just talking then about who's organising the Kris Kringle and when you're going to see your family and everything, just the added extras of organising is a lot, right? So you've got that level. I think, as you touched on and I sort of made mention of too, is like the emotional load. So Christmas is a real trigger, isn't it, for people? If you've lost someone that you love, someone in your family that's very central to your Christmas, it can be very upsetting to not have them there for the big day. There's just so much going on with your kids, with planning. And who wants what gifts? And when people aren't as grateful, perhaps as you would hope, when you've spent all that time.
I can be the ungrateful person.
I was thinking more of the kids actually as well, but sure. It's just, it's really hard, isn't it? And then you get things like, for some parents, they do the elf on the shelf. I just think, what load of what ridiculousness!
So glad my
added nonsense
were too old. It didn't. That didn't become a thing until
it's quite a new thing, isn't it?
Past the point of caring about that. We do still have a, if you don't believe, you don't receive theme in our house. So anyway, but yes, and it can be a very emotionally charged time. You're throwing together a lot of people who don't always socialise together, and for all sorts of kinds of different reasons. When we throw people together, emotions come to the fore, and Christmas is not always a happy time for people. It can be a very challenging time. It can be a very emotional time, and for some people, it can be a very lonely time as well. So
that's so true. And you have to other people's opinions. I just think, oh God, those awful Christmas conversations with Auntie Beryl, who's a Trump supporter or whatever, you know, like these are the times you have to feel.
Beryl was my grandma's name.
Oh, sorry, Beryl. Yeah, and sometimes at work functions where you have that sort of, you're thrown together with people that you don't necessarily want to hang out with in a social setting, and then you have to put, you know, field different opinions about things that you don't agree with, and it's a lot, isn't it? It's a lot of everything. So I can understand why for many Australians it's Boxing Day onwards where the real holiday starts. I think cricket, it's summer, everyone's chilling. Because my dream Christmas would just be to go away. I would love to go
Honestly,
to Fiji.
It really would.
Yeah.
My dream Christmas would be to get on a plane, like in that week before Christmas, a couple of days, like the day before or something, 2 days before or whatever. Get on a plane and be out of Dodge and just not here and come back when the chaos is over. And then
Agreed.
You know, you catch up with the people that you love and you want to catch up with anyway. Because you're going to do that, right?
Yes.
Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what time of the year it is. You see the people that you will normally catch up with, irrespective of what time of the year it is, you know. And so, that's for me, that would be my dream. To just get on a plane, get out of Dodge.
Completely agree. And I think, like, when I think about Christmas in the Northern Hemisphere, right, so all the Christmas movies, which we're going to talk about in a moment, that everyone's bustling around Christmas shopping in their jumpers and their coats, and they're kind of keeping themselves busy. I feel like that is a very important aspect for Northern Hemisphere. They're freezing, right? They're freezing cold. They're wrapped up. They're going to the pub. They're doing all the fun things that you would do to kind of distract yourself from midwinter, which was probably what they would. Gloominess. They've got the lights. They've got all the things. Australian, it's summertime. What we should be doing is just like chilling out. It's too hot to go shopping. It's too hot to just be doing all those function things. Like, we just want to be by a pool with a cocktail or a mocktail in hand. And I think that, it's wrong. It's all wrong. And also the level of kind of the guilt around overeating, over drinking, all the overconsumption just generally is hard, and you're just feeling overwhelmed.
I think we need to wind it back. Like, I remember Christmas being simple when I was a kid. Like, I remember it being simple. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was.
Yeah, we were just kids and someone else did all this.
And Mum was just doing all the organising and she managed it all, and it wasn't as simple as what I thought it was. But I don't remember Christmas being so full on. I think. And I will say the one Christmas thing that I do chuck a bit of a tanty about every year is getting a Christmas photo with my children.
Do you still get one?
So this will be the 24th straight Christmas photo, if we can manage to get it happening. Last year I kind of lost my crap around Christmas time. It nearly didn't happen. And it's really the one thing that matters to me. It's a snapshot in time. And it always happens around Christmas time. When the kids were little, sometimes my husband and I were both in our very first one with Zach. He was this tiny itty bitty baby that just kind of fit in my tiny little arm. And then, you know, some years I was in, some years I was out. And then when I got sick, I've been in every my husband and I have been in every Santa photo since I got sick. So this will be the 10th Christmas, I think. I don't know. Since I got sick. And so it's important to me. It's the one thing that matters. If I don't get presents, if I don't see them on Christmas Day, all of those things don't matter as much as getting that photo. And it's funny how different things matter to different people. So
I think a tradition. I think that's the thing about Christmas, where you might not go to church anymore. If you do, you do. Like, that might be your Christmas tradition. But I think having family traditions, when we've lost so much around the meaning of Christmas, if you're not a believer in that sense, then I think it's important. Get your photo, do whatever it is that you need to keep that sense of tradition and continuity alive. It's lovely. That's one of the lovely things about this time of year, is that everyone's got a family tradition, and that's yours, and that's It's a beauty. So, recos.
Summer recos. What have we got? What have you got for me?
Right. Well, I'll do a couple of quick ones. I've got a TV series which I've just binged. I started it on the plane on the way back from the UK. It's called The Last of Us. I feel a little bit 2023 because it came out last year and I've been meaning to watch it, but it's quite gruesome. It's a sort of bit of a zombie, end of the world, apocalyptic horror fest.
Great. Okay.
Yeah. So if it's not for you, yeah, I love it. I love all those, the scenarios of what if this happened? Oh my God. And all these cities that have been overgrown by animals and plants and like literally there's hardly anyone left in the world. It is The Last of Us. And one of the best things about it is that it stars Pedro Pascal, who is the internet daddy. He is just a gorgeous man. He's gorgeous, beautiful Chilean, dark-haired,
what else is
ruggedly handsome.
Recently?
He was in Game of Thrones. He was in The Mandalorian.
Oh, he's in Gladiator 2, isn't he?
He is in Gladiator 2, which I will see for Pedro Pascal. But I just really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really, really engaging show and it kept me absolutely on tenterhooks. And also I was thinking about it a lot, which is always a sign, right, that it's a good TV show. And season 2 comes out in 2025 and I can't wait. I can't wait to go down that dark tunnel again with Pedro Pascal by my side. So yeah, that's my TV show. Yeah.
I will say I have actually seen plants take over buildings. So in Fiji, because I lived there as a kid, and we went back. Oh gosh, I went back with my parents. I'm not sure which trip it was. I think it was in 2017 when we went back, and we drove around Suva. We took my children and we took on like a tour around Suva and the government buildings that used to be these most glorious, amazing government buildings, and they had the most beautiful entranceway. But because there's been many coups in Fiji since when I left in the early 80s or mid 80s, after one of the coups, they just all left. Like they just walked out of the government building and like left everything behind. And what has happened in the ensuing, 35, 40 years, is the plants have literally just taken back over the site.
Interesting.
And and you can see that vegetation and I think that's is it in Zed? Is that the show? I don't know. Anyway, I'm sure
they use it as a feet in a movie.
Well, not that area, but like it's like what would happen if the plants took back over the world? Like if humans died, what happened?
Yeah.
And to drive into an area that I had seen as a child and remembered so vividly how beautiful it was, and to see the plants taking back over again was just incredible. So so
it happens.
It sure does. So my movie / TV reco, I suppose, is like terrible, crappy Christmas movies. It is what I do every year. My family laugh at me. I'm not a big one for Christmas lights. I'm not a fan of them on the outside of the building of our house, mainly because we put them up and then they stay there for 6 months because we're a bit slack and they don't come back down. And there's a house just down the road from us. Actually, there's numerous houses around us that have every square inch of their house covered in Christmas movies.
Christmas lights or movies?
Christmas lights, not even movies. Thank goodness it's not movies. And my family laugh at me because I say Christmas lights should not be turned on before the 1st of December. Yet I will watch Christmas movies from the very second they start, drop back on to like all the streaming platforms.
Yep.
And they tell me I'm a hypocrite, and I tell them I am just a complex person. There is a terrible movie called Hot Frosty, I think.
Sounds awful.
It's as bad as it sounds. But,
Frosty.
they're just all escapists. And then I think there's another one called Merry Gentlemen that stars the king of Christmas movies, Chad Michael Murray. He's yes. And there's another Lindsay Lohan one coming out this week, I think. So they're all the new ones that I can think of for this year. But yes, Christmas movies is my guilty pleasure, and I do love it. Do you have a book for us?
Yes, I'll do a quick book. It's called The List by Yomi Adegoke. She is a British writer, and I loved it. It's all about a couple called Ola and Michael. They're young and in love and hip and gorgeous, and then his name appears on a list on Twitter for men that have been outed as kind of abusers, and it's all about whether or not that's true, and it's told through Ola's perspective and also Michael's perspective. It's just a really good I listened to it on Audible, so the voice actors are really, really great as well. And it's a really kind of a bit like a whodunit, I guess, and whether or not he did do the things that he was accused of, and just a real exploration of kind of modern feminism, young love in 21st century London town. It was really good. It was a really good read.
Sounds interesting.
What was yours?
I don't have a book because I'm a terrible reader, as we know. I have a podcast. It's a Wondery podcast. You can get it on Spotify. It's called Legacy. So what they do is they take a character in history, not a character, a real person in history, and they look at them over 4 episodes. They give a bit of the backstory, then kind of 2 episodes into like their life and what they did, and then the last episode discusses whether they, wraps it all up and discusses whether they deserve the legacy that they had in history. Yeah. So I've listened to episodes on Hoover, J. Edgar Hoover in FBI, Marilyn Monroe, JFK. The latest episode to drop is about Winston Churchill. There's episodes about Cleopatra, Bob Marley, Thatcher, Cecil B. DeMille, I think it is. So a really wide variety of people. When you're watching when you're listening to the new episodes, the new season, so Winston Churchill, that's one every week. That's also weird, like listening to a serial that you can't listen to the whole thing.
Oh yeah, that's hard.
But if you go to the back catalogue, you can listen to the whole, the 4
Love
episodes.
That.
But yeah, so that was really, I found that through one of the political, US political podcasts I was listening to over the Trump elections. And so anyway, that's
Wondery do a good potty.
Yeah, and that kind of sees me through and gives me something to listen to.
Well, oh my goodness.
Oh, that's us.
That's us. Happy Christmas, happy festive season, holidays, whatever. Yeah,
happy
enjoy. Festivus, exactly.
Festivus to the rest of us, as they would say on Seinfeld.
Yes, and may you enjoy some self-care and relaxation in and amongst the crazy mental load of it all. We wish you all the love.
And we will be back next year.
In 2025. Oh, my God.
I know.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to The Change, a fully independent podcast. Whether you're seeking inspiration, curious about change, or just here for the great banter, we'd love you to make The Change your new go-to podcast.
And even better, send us your voice notes or questions about change. We'll use them on the show. Email us at changepod2023@gmail.com or DM us on Instagram at _change_pod. Find us wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram for more on The Change.